Okay, so here we are with our final session, ready to go. Well, almost. We're going to try a bit of mastering, bouncing down, save file in, and compression, file compression at the end. So I'm just going to work out where I want my actual bounce down to start from. So at this point here, I'm going to put in a marker, and I'm going to call this start. Now that's the beginning of where it's going to bounce down from. Now I'm just going to scroll to the end of my session and work out approximately where I want it to finish. So where the end of my bounce down is going to happen. So the track finishes about here, but we've just got to give it a bit of extra so that we can allow any reverb tails or anything like that to play. So I'm just going to do a fade out on my master fader here. So I'll just get rid of those. So it's going to fade out by that point, which is where I want my end marker to actually be. So now I've got a start marker and an end marker. Now what I really want is I want a selection. So I'm going to hit shift and select the end and the start. And you notice that I've now selected a particular area. I'm going to now put in another marker, but this time I'm going to call it selection rather than marker, and I'm going to call it my bounce. So whenever I want to bounce that, I just need to click on the location marker. So if I now go up to here and open up my memory locations, and I can click away from that, and at any point if I click bounce, it'll actually go and select the start to the end, which is what I selected earlier on. Where is it? There it is. Okay, to the end. You notice that it's all selected now. So at any point I can just select that and then hit my bounce. So my bounce is all ready to go at any point. If I do any other editing or anything like that, I'm going to be able to bring that selection markers back. Okay, so now as I play this through, look at the output volume. I know that everything's mixed and everything's balanced within itself, but look at the output volume. Remembering that 10 decibels to the ear seems to be at about half the volume of anything that was 10 decibels louder. So at about, averaging about 15 decibels below, this is going to be a lot softer than anything else you're going to hear on the radio or submitted to iTunes or anything like that. So we're going to put in a few plugins on my master here. I'm going to put in a 7-band EQ for starters. Probably could have put in a 3-band, but we'll just leave it as 7. Let's go with also a bit of compression, and then finally I'm going to add on the plugin Maxim. I could put in other things if I wanted to, but we're just going to go with this. So I'm just going to put in a low cut here. Anything below about 40 hertz, 45 hertz is completely useless to us, and all it's going to do is it's going to allow the output to peak a bit louder. So you may not be able to hear a difference, but it's going to make a difference. Maybe a bit of compression. Any mastering is going to apply, or usually mastering is going to apply some compression, so we might work on a little bit of makeup gain as well, and maybe lower that threshold. So we've got a ratio of 2.6. We'll leave it at that. Probably could have done without that as well. Now, this is the important one. Look at all the headroom there. So you can see that it's about 15 decibel below any other commercially produced file. So I'm just going to drag this one down. You'll notice it gets louder. So about there, just lopping off the headroom. And of course we don't want it to peak, so we're going to put -1 in here. So -1 dBFS, just about full scale, is going to mean it's never going to peak. So I'm just going to get rid of that peak now. Keep watching that. Now if I open up the mix window and scroll here across to the master fader and reset that, that number will only now go to -1. Very important, because that's what iTunes wants you to master it to. So that's our peak output. I'll go back here now. So we're ready to bounce down. So what we're needing to do at this point is select the markers that we chose earlier on. So that was the bounce markers. Now we're ready to bounce this down. So we're just going to put final PM, which stands for production master bounce. So we're going to maybe include the MP3 into that. Look at the file format. It must be stereo interleaved. So interleaved means it's going to be stereo. We'll leave it at 16-bit and 44.1. That's CD quality. and we're ready to bounce. Hit bounce on that, and that'll render that offline. All right, so there it goes. Now I can go and find that in my Finder now. So it should be in my bounce files. There it is. I've got the MP3 and the WAV file. If I play that, that will play. Okay, so there's that one done. Now let's look at how big our session is, because we now have to submit the session as well. The session file is over 1 gig. Very big file. As you can see, we've got a lot of audio there. Probably don't need that much audio. So I'm going to go Command-Shift-U, which is going to select all of the audio, and Command-Shift-B will allow us to remove it from our session. We could move it to the trash or delete it, but I just want to remove it from the session. So that's Command-Shift-U, Command-Shift-B. Now they've been removed from our session. So now I can go Save Copy In. Now we need to make sure that we've got audio files selected, and we can change the session parameters if we want. We don't need to, so we're just going to click OK. It's going to say, well, where do you want to copy this to? And we're just going to call this copy of SAC mixing task. I'm going to save it to this point. It's going to literally duplicate every audio file that's currently being used in that session. Let's go across and look at that, and Command I will allow us to see how big that is. 345 meg versus over a gig, which we just didn't need before. So that's dropped it by 2/3. So all of that extra audio that was in the other file, we just didn't need because it was not used in the session. So we've got rid of that. Now at this point, we need to compress it. Where is that? There it is. So it's going to now compress that file. And then we're going to be able to upload that one along with the WAV file as well onto whatever platform we need to submit that in. In this case here, it's Style. So you can put in the stems and the session and the stereo mix file in those 3 sections. So let's just get rid of this. Let's grab the final bounce first and put that in there. That'll upload. Session file there. That's the compressed one. Whack that in, and that will actually upload onto Style. And that's essentially it. Good luck.